August 26, 2024, in the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee. Stream live on Mashpee Town website and Channel 8, Cable Channel 8. We will start off and convene an open session with Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And a moment of silence, please. Thank you. A discussion and approval of the following Monday, August 12, 2024, regular and executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Tom?
Yes.
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 And I'm a yes. Appointments and hearings. Department of Public Works, Catherine Laurent. Good evening, Catherine.
Good evening, everyone. So before you have a recommendation for award of a contract for the owner's project manager for the design and hopefully construction of a new police station. We had a great response and to the request for qualifications, interviewed 4 firms and are recommending that a contract be awarded to CHA of Boston. They have extensive municipal experience specifically with public safety facilities. Most recently, they were the OPM for the Bourne Police Station, which I know the town manager and our police chief have toured, and we're very impressed with that facility, which would be of similar size to what Mashpee is proposing. The initial contract is for OPM services during the design process. As you may recall, funding was approved, authorized at this past town meeting to design the new facility. We do not have construction funds in hand yet. Our anticipation is that we would be going to May 2025 annual town meeting for funding for construction. So if we were successful in that, then CHA would continue in their role as OPM for an additional fee, which we would have a contract amendment at that point. So this initial contract would be for $182,105, which again would bring us through design of the building.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? David?
No.
John?
Just a clarification. So it's the OPM services is the management of the process, right? And it's CHA is the
Yes.
entity. Okay. No, I'm good.
Michaela?
No, it's
Tom?
very thorough.
No,
Okay.
very happy with that one. Thank you, Catherine.
I need
Make a motion, make a motion to accept and approve the, to recommend and approve the contract for CHA Consulting to be awarded the contract as OPM in the amount of $182,105 to complete the design phase of the project for our new police station.
Second.
Tom?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you.
Town Clerk, Debbie Kay. How are you? Discussion and approval of appointment of election warden.
Brendan Burke. Yes, he's done a fine job. He's been volunteering on elections, and he has now submitted a letter of interest to be a warden.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? I
don't.
Okay.
Motion to appoint Election Warden Brendan C. Burke.
Do I have a second?
Second, yes.
Is there a period?
Yes.
Michaela?
Is there he just asked for duration?
Is there a term? How's that work?
It is,
No term.
there's
Until-
no term limit.
No, on the election?
They only work once a year, twice a year, sometimes 4 times a year.
Michaela?
Don't want to burn them out, huh?
No, they
Yes.
need to rest.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, and discussion and approval of the following. Discussion on AVOS optical scan voting.
Yes, so we are purchasing new machines for the town of Mashpee. Unfortunately, we can't use them for November because being short-staffed, busy, the whole sticker office, I didn't get my request to you soon enough. So we have maintained machines that are working really well right now. So we'll be fine through November. And starting the day after November, we'll have brand-new machines that will take the town into
So this is
probably at least another 10, 15
discontinuation?
years
This is a discontinuation of
the old
old machine.
AccuVote machines
Okay. So we need a vote on that
to
to discontinue. Okay, so I need a motion.
Should that be framed to be discontinued after this year's election?
I don't have anything with me
Yeah.
because I was in the middle of processing ballots. It is to start November 6th.
So if we were to frame the motion as discontinuation of AccuVote AVOS optical scan,
Microphone.
I got 2 of them already.
Choose one.
Thought I spoke loud enough.
I'm sorry, David.
So if we frame the vote as of November 7th, discontinuation of
November 6th.
AccuVote AVOS optical scan voting, that would be sufficient?
There's a motion right here at the bottom of my memo.
We, the select board, you want to read it?
Bottom of the memo.
I think
Before we do that, just another question. So, Deb, the new voting systems, do we already have them?
No, we have not taken possession of them yet. We will be, not to worry.
No, so if we do this and then after this coming election, something happens, you have to come back and say, oh, we have to put these back into play?
No, they're going to be in play through the November election.
No, you mean after that, though? So what I'm saying is,
Starting November 6th, we will go forward with image cast voting machines.
I'm totally confused.
yeah, no, I guess,
We have AccuVote voting machines currently.
right?
They're going to take care of the elections next Tuesday and November.
Correct.
The day after the presidential is over, they will be discontinued and the new ones will be in place.
Are they almost like a trade-in? We trade these in for the
We
new?
give them back and they'll just keep taking the parts that still work for the people who still use
And they'll
AccuVote.
replace, okay, now I get it. It's a trade-in type of thing. The new system
Yeah.
will be, and replace these.
And
It's
they
not,
should be good for at least another 12, 14, 15 years. These are brand new.
okay.
I have a question. I know you said you weren't able to get the request in on time for this November, but the request has gone in and been approved for November 6th going forward?
After November 6th. The deadline to have new voting machines accepted by the board was July 8th. July 8th, I had a new employee. I was short in the sticker office, and we're smack in the middle of sticker season. So I didn't get them, I actually would have had to go back into June to get into a selectman's agenda so that it would have been approved before July 8th. which was a nightmare of itself.
It was a little tight.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking you to explain yourself, I was just asking
No,
a
it's
clarifying
okay.
question. So the amount has been approved, though, for this, for
Yes.
the total cost of these?
Yes.
Beginning on November 6th was my only question.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, David.
You have funds for trainings on the new equipment?
For training,
Is there anything transitioning from one machine to another? Is there any trainings needed? No. All right.
these new machines will have scanner capability. So what will happen is, my staff and I, obviously, and the wardens will be trained. But these machines now scan the ballot. So we no longer, if I understand it correctly, we won't have to sift through the ballots for the intent of the voter. It will print out that there's a write-in. And then we'll see it faster.
You want to read the motion?
Sorry.
We, the Mashpee Select Board, hereby vote approve the discontinuation use of the AccuVote AVOS optical scan voting and approve the use of ImageCast precinct tabulators for all elections beginning November 6, 2024.
Second.
John?
Just another follow-up question, actually. Are other towns already made this move, like locally, or are we?
They are actually buying things that push the ballots out the door faster. They have these new machines, ImageCast machines, that just print everything for you. It's okay, we're not that big of a town, we don't need that.
But other towns have this system as
Yeah.
well? Okay.
There's two types. You can buy it from elections, ES&S, election systems and software, or you can buy them from LHS. We've purchased our machines previously from LHS. We got prices for both. LHS takes better care of us, so the recommendation was for LHS.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
Yes?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Tom? And I'm a yes.
absolutely.
Thank you, Deb.
Thanks.
Good choice, thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Public comment. David Tebow?
Good evening. My name is David Tebow. I live in Wareham, Mass. I am a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans, not a spokesperson. United Sovereign Americans is a nationwide organization with thousands of active volunteers in 20 states. Today I come to you as a concerned citizen sharing alarming information about our state's voter database. Uncovered through thousands of hours of research conducted by a highly qualified and credentialed data team. While the numbers are staggering and somewhat difficult to comprehend, one thing is clear: they don't add up. Just like your checkbook must balance, so must our votes. If you had 10,000,
Bring your mic closer to you, please. Thank you.
if you had 10,000, sorry, I lost my spot here.
I'm sorry.
If you had 10,000 fewer dollars in your bank account than you had deposited, you would certainly want to know what happened. And if a company had that significant a discrepancy in its books, the company most certainly would conduct an audit. In fact, yearly audits are required by law for all public companies. Our audit of the 2022 election, using only official data provided by states' voter registration systems through the city and town clerks, shows that the 2022 election may not have been accurate or legally compliant. We are not saying one candidate won over another or that any election should be overturned. The state's official data from a certified election shows the votes as counted were not all valid and accurate under the law. Tonight we will present you with a resolution requesting an end to the inaccuracy and uncertainty plaguing our elections, along with a summary of our findings and the laws that apply. We're happy to meet with you to go over this information, including more detail about specific findings if you have questions that we cannot answer now. I will commit to getting you the answers in writing from the United Sovereign Americans executive team as soon as possible. This data and our request for an investigation will soon be shared with state election officials and law enforcement. It's essential that you, as our representatives, make it clear that these issues must be taken seriously. Today, we come to you, our closest elected representatives, for support and action. We're asking that you listen to the resolution, ask questions if you have them, then vote promptly for its passage. Your action on this resolution will illustrate your dedication and support to the concerns of your constituents and your country.
Okay, David, thank you. Laura Mitchell?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Mitchell, and I live in Osterville. I am also a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans and not a spokesperson. Resolution for a legally valid 2024 general election. Whereas it is a recognized civil right in the United States for every citizen to have free and fair elections, quote, and the right of suffrage can be denied by a debasement or dilution of the weight of a citizen's vote just as effectively as by wholly prohibiting the free exercise of the franchise. Reynolds versus Sims, U.S. Supreme Court, 1964. Whereas it is the duty of our election officials to guarantee our elections accurate and free from distortion or manipulation. Quote, Congress seeks to guard the election of members of Congress against any possible unfairness by compelling everyone concerned in holding the election to a strict and scrupulous observance of every duty devolved upon him while so engaged. The evil intent consists in disobedience to the law. In re Cor, U.S. Supreme Court, 1888. Whereas our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following four tenets of an election are upheld. Number one, the voter rolls must be accurate. National Voter Registration Act, 1993. Number two, votes counted must be from eligible voters. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2. Number three, the number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted. Number four, there can be no more than 1 in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting system from the Help America Vote 2002. Whereas an open source audit of the Massachusetts 2022 general election conducted by Massachusetts state citizens has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that violate both federal and state laws, including 751,317 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the Massachusetts State Voter Roll Database, 265,046 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrants, 87,231 more votes counted than voters who voted in the 2022 general election. No one knows who cast them. 265,027 apparent voting violations in excess of the legal standard of the system of accuracy for a valid federal election. Maximum allowable system errors for the 2022 general election in Massachusetts was 19. Certification of this election as defined by law and attestation of accuracy and compliance appears to have been fraudulent and illegal. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Agua?
Hello, my name is Deborah Aguiar, and I live in Falmouth. I am also a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans and not a spokesperson. Whereas these findings trample legal accuracy requirements of the voting system during a federal election, accuracy is defined as the ability of the system to capture and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by a voter without error. Whereas the intent of the voters must be known factually before certification can be lawfully conducted, certification of an election that varies from the law is an abridgment of the civil rights of the citizens. A fraud ab initio, United States versus Throckmorton, U.S. Supreme Court, 1878. Quote, from time immemorial, an election to public office has been, in point of substance, no more and no less than the expression by qualified electors of their choice of candidates, end of quote. United States versus Classic, U.S. Supreme Court, 1941. Whereas Massachusetts' 2022 general election appears to have been invalid, depriving us of the guaranteed protection of our natural rights under a government duly and probably chosen by us, the American people, resulting in incalculable damage to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of these United States. Therefore, we call upon our representatives to provide relief to the people and the assurance of domestic tranquility by joining us in demanding a valid 2024 general election that upholds these existing laws and equitable principles of law. 1. Proof of citizenship, identity, and eligibility to register and vote, not anonymous attestation. 2, voter roll certified, accurate, and available for public review and challenge 30 days before the start of early voting. Voters added after that date must bring proof of citizenship, identity, and address in person to a qualified official at each polling place. Thank you.
Thank you. William Winters.
My name is William Winters. I live in Falmouth. I am also a volunteer and not an official spokesperson with United Sovereign Americans. 3, hand-marked secure ballots similar to currency. Where imaging technology is used for tabulation, the security features must be verifiable in the ballot image. 4, systems, machines, security measures, infrastructure, and conduct are required to be compliant with federal law for fraud prevention regarding risk assessment, certification, testing, and implementation. 5, education must be signed off by party, candidate, and trained citizen witnesses after being given full and effective observation rights. Candidates and trained citizens must be allowed immediate access to ballots, ballot images, and cast vote records. 6, ballots, regardless of entry source, election operations and systems must maintain end-to-end chain of custody from voter to vote count to final canvass, including auditability and witness transfer with paper records. 7, NIST compliant, randomized, statistically valid, end-to-end audit with a 95% confidence level of all elections pursuant to the 14th Amendment, Section 2, must be performed. These audits are to be conducted by qualified, insured, and bonded security, forensics, or financial auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Reconciliation will include the vote count, real physical ballots, education, cast vote records, ballot count, qualified voter count, custody transfer, and all other paper and electronic election systems, including logs. If the total of all unique variances above is more than 10% of the margin of victory, a new election must be held in the state for those candidates affected, unless the issues can be provably corrected by a manual hand recount and a full review of records. 9, Waiver of requirements is not allowed. Only end-to-end system compliance from registration through certification can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Phyllis Sprout?
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Sprout. I live in Mashpee. I am also a volunteer and not an official spokesperson with United Sovereign Americans. You just heard a powerfully written resolution outlining massive inaccuracies of our 2022 election, from registration through certification. In it, you heard us ask for meaningful remedies that will proactively protect the validity of the 2024 general election for all Americans. In fact, the resolution cited many U.S. Supreme Court precedents that support the need for such actions. Laws are being ignored. Bottom line, the checkbook is not balancing, and we need certainty. The voting system, which controls our most vitally important right, the right to choose our representatives, is not producing an accurate, trustworthy result. Do you think these anomalies within our election system, a system which is part of our national security infrastructure, should continue to be ignored? How much is it costing us not to fix the problem? How much is it costing our GDP, our military, our foreign policy, our health, our self-esteem of our children and young people? And how much is it costing our dignity to keep fighting each other? The cost is immeasurable. So I urge you to show your agreement by passing the resolution. Our website showcasing our initiatives nationwide has some extremely informative videos that explain the anomalies and apparent violations of the law that are found here in Massachusetts, as well as in other states. The website is uniteforfreedom.com. That is unite4freedom.com. I encourage you to check it out and learn more. What you heard tonight is the accumulation of thousands of hours of work by our highly qualified and credentialed volunteer data teams from Massachusetts and across the country. Let's step back for a second look and look at the big picture. Large numbers of Americans, including many right here in Massachusetts, have questions about the trustworthiness of our elections. I think we can all agree that we wish this was not the case, but official data shows that these concerns are valid, and the law says resolving them is essential in securing our liberty. At the same time, government representatives at all levels are not being transparent or responsive to what our citizen audits have found. Our right to choose our representatives in legally valid and transparent elections is the foundation upon which our constitutional republic was established. That right has been bravely protected over the past 2.5 centuries by the sacrifices of our brothers, fathers, mothers, sisters. You on this board tonight have the chance to show everyone who defended American liberty and the citizens you represent that you value it also by passing this resolution demanding a valid general election in 2024. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your time and attention. I will now pass out the resolution for you.
Just leave them with Wayne. That'll be good. Thank you, Phyllis. Robin Joyce?
Good evening. My name is Robin Joyce, and I'm a resident of Mashpee. And I'm here tonight to pose questions for the shellfish warden and the proposed moving of the family fishing area in the Great River from Callie's Beach to down towards the Metacomet Beach area. And what I would ask the board, since this is not a time for questions, but to have be addressed in the materials made to the public, are what does commercial fishing use actually mean? Is it applied just to shellfish? Is there other kind of fish to be taken? What type of devices would be used in this area? Would the area be seeded, and would it be seeded at public expense? Have there been studies with the width of the Great River in the summer with maximum boat traffic and moorings loaded with vessels? Has there been any study of the effect of having commercial fishing in that area with the boat and personal craft traffic? And has something like this been done in another waterway, either in Mashpee or in neighboring towns where there is a freshwater, brackish water, river, bay type situation, which of course represents a great variety of fishing opportunities, but also a great variety of recreation opportunities, and a very small area where the depth is sufficient for vessels to move through, since there's a lot of, the channel needs to be dredged frequently, and the actual navigable channel is much smaller as the juncture between the Great River and the point at Callie's Beach area. So these are issues that I take personally to be very important, and I've tried to get as much information as I can prior to coming to this meeting, and I wasn't able to find the answer to these kind of questions, and I would hope to be able to have that, as well as the rest of the general public, have that available, not just in the newspaper, but in a more professional type environment, so that we can evaluate that for the September 9th hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue Daigle?
Good evening, Susan Dangle, Cotuit Road, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm going to read my comments so that I can get them in, hopefully. I'm speaking tonight as the much anticipated appearance of Mr. Ed Eichner, who was expected to report this evening on the state of Mashpee-Wakeby Pond, was canceled. I have been before you in February and again in July, expressing my concern about the management plan for a 2-year Mashpee-Wakeby diagnostic pond study that is overdue. $350,000 was approved unanimously at the October 2021 town meeting for this study, which began in 2022. In February, Mr. Eichner said that since the data collection was complete, which was last October, he would have the report in your hands in April. In June, he attended the annual meeting of Save Mashpee-Wakeby Pond Alliance, and we were hoping to hear about the completed plan, but instead received a briefing on the status of the study. That briefing paints a picture of a severely impaired Mashpee-Wakeby Pond, the second largest pond on Cape Cod. As a member of the stakeholder team for this project, I personally reached out to Ed Eichner to ask him to come tonight to give the presentation that he gave us. He declined. As the president of Save Mashpee-Wakeby Pond Alliance, I am disappointed that we do not yet have the results of this study to guide us in our next steps, and are concerned that this delay may be delaying critical interventions that could help save the health of the pond. We have literally heard nothing this summer. Since Ed is not here, I want to give you a few key highlights of his June presentation. First, Mashpee-Wakeby has been impaired even from the beginning of data collection with the PALS program in 2001. In 2008, a significant clarity of water problem with clarity of water in Wakeby appeared, possibly due to a breakthrough of phosphorus traveling to the pond from 1980s development. Wakeby Pond is significantly more impaired than Mashpee Pond, mainly due to the external nutrient inputs coming from north of the pond. In fact, the study of phytoplankton at the deepest part of Wakeby had levels of blue-green algae over the 70,000 cell count per milliliter by the state for a public advisory, 8 out of 12 months. This did not always result in a cyanobacteria bloom for the entire pond, but the cells are present and should conditions be right to cause a bloom. Both ponds have significant sediments full of phosphorus. Anoxia is present throughout the pond, meaning that the lowest levels of both ponds are devoid of oxygen. The management plan will show details of these sources of the nutrients, but it is not ready. Yet, at a high level, Mr. Eichner indicated that a multi-pronged approach is recommended. We will need to address the nutrients, I'm almost finished, that are entering the pond through a combination of efforts, including but not limited to fixing the boat ramp, finding a sewering solution north of Wakeby Pond, fixing major stormwater inputs, noting that the northwest Wakeby shoreline is of concern, encouraging residents to redirect stormwater from their own properties into the ground before it can enter the pond, We also expect that we will need to address the nutrients that are already in the pond. This may include alum treatments like those used in Ashumet and John's ponds. However, due to the sheer size of our pond, we will likely require treatments for both basins. Also in attendance in June was Ashley Fisher, Director of Natural Resources. She indicated these treatments are expensive, likely in the millions of dollars. However, she also indicated that because our pond is greater than 500 acres, we could probably receive some funding from the state and could apply for both 319 and 604B funding. Since the founding of Save Mashpee Wakeby Pond Alliance in 2021, we have immersed ourselves in learning how things work in Mashpee. While we are extremely grateful that a cluster sewer solution is being explored by Mr. Collins and Mr. Meter, our wastewater superintendent, and that APCC and Coastal Zone Management have funded and taken the design of the Mashpee Wakeby boat ramp to permitting, it still feels as though other key initiatives have stalled while we are waiting for this report. Finding money and finding support for the necessary fixes our pond requires takes time, and it is time that we had our science-based roadmap. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Matt Henney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Matthew Haney. I'm the trustee of Gooseberry Island Trust. You remember I was here a few weeks ago. Anyways, I just wanted to comment on the proposed Article 4. And there's a little bit of a problem with that article. There's no dollar amount on the article. And under Mashpee's bylaw, you have to have the dollar amount in the article to be on the warrant. It's in their section, Chapter 2, Section 7C. It says, any article which requests a sum of money shall state in the article the amount being requested. So right now, as it stands, I believe that at town meeting, the way the article is written, it has to be indefinitely postponed. It can't be voted upon. There is a solution. The select board, you guys can put forth the article. You can put forth the article with the proposed funding, with funding sources, grants, et cetera. You guys know the purchase price. You got to remember here, the CPC at the last meeting, they authorized an appraisal of the property, and that appraisal will come out before the town meeting. The CPC would have to make a recommendation at or before town meeting under the CPC statute to recommend using CPC funds toward purchase of the property. At the town meeting, the article can be amended as long as it's within the scope of the article, so there is some flexibility. But you got to remember, the CPC statute also has in there, you can't use CPC's funds for more than the appraised value of the property. So that's a requirement there too. So, I mean, I don't think you need to have the appraisal beforehand, because usually when you purchase a house, you don't go get an appraisal first, make a deal, and then, you don't do it that way. You make a deal, then you get the appraisal. So I don't think you need the appraisal right now. I think you guys can put forth the dollar amount on the article to save this thing, because unless the select board puts forth the article by September 9th, when you guys execute the warrant, the voters at town meeting aren't going to have the opportunity to decide if they want to preserve Gooseberry Island or not, because there will not be another choice, another opportunity, I should say. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So there is a path forward if you guys want to go forward on this thing. And you got to remember here, Mr. Collins caught me in the hallway a few weeks ago. He told me, I got to work with you guys here. So I'm willing to work with you, but if it doesn't go to town meeting, I'm not sitting tight for another town meeting. It's got to go to town meeting, propose some funding. We're flexible on the time frame, so we'll give you time to get the open space plan up and running, so you can get the grants to that, so you can purchase the property and not affect the tax rate. Because the alternative is, we're going to proceed with the development of the property, or if the town doesn't want to let the property be developed, we're going to proceed through the litigation route, which costs the taxpayers money paying that stuff. So there is an opportunity here, and there is a path forward. So I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. So thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Barbie?
Hi, Lynn Barbie. I live on Surf Drive in Mashpee. And I just wanted to draw attention to the entire public, everyone here, up to our purple flags that are out in front of Town Hall and out in front of the Wampanoag Community Center as well. This is a recognition of Overdose Awareness Day, which is August 31st officially, but this whole month has been a focus on the issues of overdose. We're not hearing about it that much, but according to the one flyer that I have, which is from the AIDS support group and others, there are 72 Barnstable County lives that were lost this year to overdose. And I also want to draw everybody's attention to the SAM boxes, as in Samaritan boxes. We have one here in Town Hall and one in the library. They have supplies of Narcan. If you need Narcan, you can get it and then it will be replaced. And I'm really urging people to be more aware of what's going on. And hopefully you can come to the Falmouth Village Green, August 31st, between 6 and 7:30 for a vigil. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Storrell?
Hi, I'm Jim Stowell, and I'm from South Beach Cape Estates, and I'm current president of the association. Yesterday, we were advised of a headline in a local paper called "Selfish Commission to Make Changes South of South Beach Estates," and in it talks about the fact that they're changing the family area of Metacomet to non-family area of Metacomet. Well, first we should note that Metacomet is not south of South Beach Estates. It is central. It is right in the center of South Beach Cape Estates. So, that raises question. And, once the community got a hold of the information, a lot of questions started to come out, like, how come we haven't been contacted about this? Why are the changes necessary? What about access to that area? Right now, our roads are all private. Our estate is private. What will be the access to that area? As brought up earlier, that part of the river is narrow. There are a lot of moorings there. There are a lot of kayaks that go up and down that, a lot of boats that go up and down that. How is it going to be handled? With people in the water fishing with rakes, or are they going to be using boats? We're not sure about that. It also talks about it being, almost a foregone conclusion. I'm talking about it making it a permanent change. Why make it a permanent change without any discussion? What about a temporary change to see how it works? And finally, I guess what I'd like to say is that as an association, we would like nothing to be talked about us without us. We'd like to be involved in any discussions regarding any changes to our area. And I'm sure you can understand the concerns of the group to be made aware very quickly. The reason we're here tonight is because the article said it would be a discussion item, which is, as we looked at the agenda, it's not. But we felt it was important to come and start the discussion. So hopefully it'll be a productive discussion that we can have with the Shellfish Commission and or the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under new business, discussion and approval of the following resignation. We have Conservation Commission Associate Member Chad Smith with the attached letter. Do I have a motion to accept this?
Motion to approve the resignation from Conservation Commission of Associate Member Chad Smith.
I'll second that motion.
John?
With a lot of regrets
Please.
for his service.
David?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Discussion and approval of the following road race application. 39th Annual Autumn Escape Bike Trek Road Race Permit, September 27th, 2024, 8:30 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon. The American Lung Association. Do we have anybody here from representing? Nope. Okay. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Tom?
Yes.
Yes.
Michaela? David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Old business. Discussion and possible action on articles on October 21, 2024 town meeting warrant draft, number 3. Okay. Article 2, page 2, Pickerel Cove. Do we have you here? Good. We don't need this on the warrant, do we, for Pickerel Cove?
Good evening, Arden Russell, Chair of the CPC. No, we determined that we do not need it on the warrant. We spoke to the Finance Director and to the CPA Coalition, and previously we've never used the practice of going back to town meeting, so we don't need it. But we will be returning those funds to the coffers of CPC, but we do not need the town meeting action.
Okay. You stay there.
I will.
Okay. Article 3.
Excuse me, you do need to vote to remove this, okay?
I
Motion to
didn't-
remove
Okay.
Article 2.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Tom?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. Article 3, page 2 and 3. Nathan Ellis Highway. Okay. We have a money figure?
We will, hopefully shortly. So we have a appraised value that has been shared with the property owners. It's multiple owners. They're communicating amongst themselves and will be responding to us shortly. So it'll either be the appraised value or it'll be removed. They'll say no, or
So we'll hold this till
Till the next
our
meeting.
next meeting. Do I have a motion to hold?
Motion to hold.
I'll second.
Okay, John?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. Article 4, page 3, 4, Gooseberry Island. Do we have any money figure?
Yeah, so we're moving through the process. We did, as Mr. Haney said, hire an appraiser, and we are moving through that process. However, because the application was submitted to us much past our deadline, it was submitted to us on July 1st, the deadline was April 1st, we really don't seem to have enough time to commission the appraisal, get the appraisal back, and negotiate with the owner. My suggestion is to leave it there until the 9th. Maybe the appraisal will be back. That would be a very speedy response, but maybe it'll be back. Additionally, as Mr. Haney has stated, he has a maximum sale price in mind, and that's regardless of what the appraisal comes back at. So I'm not confident we're going to be able to reach an agreement here, but for the sake of a couple more weeks, if you're willing to leave it on the agenda.
I'm going to
on the warrant.
motion to
To
hold
hold.
on Article 4.
Okay, second. John?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Yes.
Tom? And yes for me.
We'll
Thank
see what
you.
happens.
Okay, all right, thank you. Article 5, page 4. Okay, this is the permanent full-time employment. Okay. Rodney?
Yes, Madam Chair, my recommendation to the board, after a little deliberation, is to remove those on the basis that we would be going with a contracted service. If we chose to go with town staff subsequent thereto, then obviously you always have that option. The town has that option. It would be extremely difficult to go from town staff to contracted services. So my recommendation is to just go with contracted services for now, so therefore you could, if you chose, to remove this without jeopardizing anything moving forward.
I agree. Do I have a motion?
Motion to remove Article 5.
Second?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Yeah, just,
wanna discuss?
just discuss
Yes.
first.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So what's the time frame on this? Because if I'm not against going contracted services, that's not what I'm saying. Because is the treatment center early next year, correct?
Should be online July 1st, but my confidence is we will have either consulting fees take care of the difference if it's a little earlier, and I would also remind you, we might have an option in May with a special town meeting for any kind of contracted services. I'm not worried at all.
Okay, so so the fallback plan would be May to.
I'm not worried at all.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm good.
Yep. David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Emma, yes.
Okay, Article 6, that's also,
Motion to remove Article 6.
Second.
John?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Michaela?
Yes.
And Tom?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Okay. Liaison reports.
I have one from the Joint Base Civilian, yeah, don't ask me to repeat that whole, it's a long one. I was kind of surprised that that the state, exactly who, it was the DOT or whatever, but at the commission, they made it very clear that they never filed an environmental review of the proposed bridge. So I guess they did a review,
So
but
what does that mean?
I'll get there. So I guess they did a review, which is it's like a pre-phase one of like you do that for every project. Like even if you're buying a commercial lot, you do a review. If you don't come up with anything, you just typically you move on. Unless a phase one's recommended, then it goes to the next step. My understanding was, I guess it was an oversight. They didn't think it was a worthy $4.3 billion project, was not worthy of a environmental phase one, but they call it a four-letter word. It's a state word, but doesn't really matter. So the process of a full environmental, we were told, takes 2 years. So we now have the funds. So at the meeting, I just asked, so we're just filing this now? And the answer was, no, we've already filed. And basically the answer was like last month. So I just thought that was kind of shocking that, we now have the funds for, it looks like, for Sagamore. They're going forward with all the plans and the whole thing, and maybe this will take another 2 years anyways. So be it, but I just find it amazing that we've been looking for at least 4 years for funds. We finally get them, and they didn't think to use the initial $300 million that they had to start a full-blown environmental review. That's all.
I know for me, I've been kind of interacting at kind of high level, and to navigate the NEPA process, you have to have construction level designs to some extent. Even if they're not at 100%, they have to be minimally 75, 80% construction level. So to define the area of impact, so they can look at it comprehensively And last I knew, they were, still contemplating 3 options on what the design would look like. So they had like the approach layouts and things on the land, but they didn't have the actual finalized design. Now they've kind of committed to that, but I don't know that the drawings are at, construction level. So that lends itself to the EIS, being able to move forward with the EIS. You have to have a definitive footprint before you can start circulating stuff to.
Fair statement.
Yeah, so I mean, I know it's been complicated moving forward, but I think they've tried to start what they could with the site assessment planning and begin conversations, identify stakeholders and things like that. I know they've done that, but they're probably waiting on the construction level designs to get to the.
But the director and his boss, who was in the meeting, and that was not their reply to my question. So if they didn't have the level of plans to that state, to that ability, to that level yet, that would have been the easy response, but that was not the response. That we just did file that, and it'll be 2 years. But it just seems like, what's chicken or the egg, or why the process is dragging, because, we still have a Bourne Bridge nothing is going to be, and Bourne Bridge is not even going to be looked at until they can figure this whole Sagamore, saga out. So it's disappointing.
But are we as concerned about the traffic as we are about the environment?
Well, the level of this project is, it causes, you have to do a full environmental, and I think you're right, it's a NEPA,
Well, I'm more
level.
concerned about the environment than I am the traffic going over the bridge on either one.
Well, it's all comes in hand. You gotta, to do the project, they're worried about, they know the designs now and the whole thing. You gotta do the environmental, it's all part of the whole project, so.
The federal funding, the state funding, you can navigate the MEPA process, Mass EPA Act, but the federal funding, they won't release the funds until you go through the NEPA process. They won't even release the funds to do anything until you do that. So, I mean, it's just, it is a long process, all that NEPA compliance, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. That's.
David, any liaison report?
So the EOC meeting, we met tonight, and as part of the discussions, we want to move water quality along, and we do want to invite Paul Bibo of the Mashpee Wakeby to our next meeting. So I'm going to reach out to him to see if they're interested in willing to convert the Mashpee Wakeby Lake Committee over to a freshwater committee, as I brought up at a previous meeting here. There was discussions around potentially looking at trying to convene a joint meeting with some of the conservation people responsible for conservation and planning around the open space rec plan, and moving things forward. We're trying to figure out how best to identify and pursue purchase of conservation lands that might be identifiable. So that was part of the conversation. Then that kind of stemmed and rolled into water quality. And some of the discussion was that there's a lot of reports and data being collected, but not sure exactly how. And can't wait for Ashley to, be at the next meeting to answer some of those questions as to how, where all the information goes and all the different people working in that water quality space with, as far as, I know the tribe's doing a lot of testing and data collection, then the town's doing it, APC's doing it, and how is that information best utilized? Are there reports being provided to everyone? And maybe there's an interest for the EOC to get reports on some of those water quality testing, so that we can take a look at them and figure out a path forward and explore additional programs, and based on the reports, identify maybe funding mechanisms that align with supporting those projects through collaboration and coordination.
Good.
Michaela?
Assembly delegates, is that appropriate here? The Assembly delegates sent a letter to Governor Healy about the machine gun range on Joint Base Cape Cod and asking her to veto that or not sign on to that. So I wanted to report that. Also, I heard today that in collaboration with the Cape Cod Extension, and Buy Fresh, Buy Local, there's a ribbon cutting at Mashpee Middle Community Garden on 8/29 at 10 o'clock. MassTech is still doing Waste No Water library tours, September 9th in Woods Hole, October 3rd in Osterville, November 11th in Truro, and 12/3 in Orleans. It's everything new that's happening with wastewater and wastewater solutions and the Aqua Fund to help people pay for this. So it's, each presentation is about an hour long. They're very informative, and so I'd like the public to know about it and the board to know about it.
Good. Tom? No?
Madam Chair, just as a follow-up to Michaela's comment about the gun range, just for the record, that was not on the agenda, Joint Base. This time, I know it was in the paper about a revised or a new version of proposal, but that wasn't discussed, not even on the agenda this time.
Right, I was just reporting.
Right,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
Assembly did.
Just because typically they talk about it at a Joint Base meetings, but
Oh, okay.
that wasn't this time.
And
So
with-
maybe next quarter.
With water quality?
Yeah, water quality. Updates?
I too am just disappointed that we don't have a full study and a management plan from Ed Eichner. As I was listening to Sue Dangle and thinking about, we approved the $350,000 in 2021, and the study began in 2022, and he promised us April, and then July, and then I don't know how we energize him to move this forward and get a management plan. So whatever that plan says, so that we can get started on what we need to do.
I have had the assistant contact him a couple times, and I think the answer has been the same.
I spoke to Ed on 2 occasions prior to this meeting, hoping that he could be here to discuss that. He says he does not have the material. He's waiting to get it from UMass to get the information he needs to complete it. He said he's put in the request a dozen times, can't get them to respond, but he said that he had asked that the town manager extend that contract at no extra charge so he can get that done. And I know we extended that contract out to, I think, December, wasn't it? He expects to have more information. He felt like it was 3/4 of the information. He doesn't have the complete data. He did make a presentation to Sue Dangles, but he says it was based off of incomplete data. So while Sue had mentioned that he was canceled, he wasn't canceled. He told me that he could not attend the meeting and give us information that he doesn't have complete
That he doesn't
information for.
have.
So
Okay.
that's where we stand.
Okay,
That's-
thank you for
that's really
clarifying.
helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, just a basic statement. Seems like everything that we're trying to move along with, we're working on all these different issues. And everybody was looking for a timeline, but nothing's happening. They just delay. And it's just like, how do we get some leverage and get this to be moving forward? I mean, I know it can't happen to everybody at once, but at some points, there should be penalties. I mean, it shouldn't be in our pocketbook. It should be in somebody else's. And I don't understand why there aren't any hold-to time limits. It doesn't make sense to me, at least within a relative amount of time, short period of time for an extension.
Yeah, if we're not satisfied that the person that is providing the services is not doing an adequate job or responding in a timely manner, the only thing I can suggest is to look at an alternative. As I sit here right now, I don't know who that individual or individuals may be, but we can certainly look at all options.
Right. But throwing them off the job and bringing somebody else in. It's just starting over again. And I'd rather not do that.
That's why
I'd rather, you know, yeah, well, no, you need to bring this in. We'll back off, but you need to bring this in 30 days. That would be just move it, put a deadline on it. We're not gonna put up with it. We're gonna take you to court. We want your money to pay for our system. It just goes on and on and on.
Well, I think that what Mr. Eichner really is saying in a sense is that with the passing of Dr. Howe's, a lot of that information had to be reevaluated or brought to this guy. I mean, it's a big change.
I know the process, but they've been in it a lot longer than I have.
Oh, I
mean, they know the CYA, you know, and that's what they're taking care of it, and they're taking care of themselves. And you know there's a buffer, and you know, even in their roughest estimate, you know, so it's just time we want to move forward.
Frustrating.
Everybody, you know, in health, in you know, we have families here with children here, adult individuals that, you know, we need someone to step up and make this happen. There has to be something. And it isn't just our town. I think, why can't we, you know, we ought to sit down with all the others. I'm not in any of the men's clubs now where I go to the assembly, and I used to be able to do that and have that conversation. And we used to get together and we used to push things forward. Enough time's gone by. What do you think? And they all go to their town hall and they get the same response. Yes, you're right. We need to move forward. You know, it's just, I left after that and nothing ever happened.
I think
it's time.
I think it's fair to assume that there's a level of frustration with the board, or from the board, that we don't have it. We will relay that message and hopefully expedite things along.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And sorry for any delay, because it is frustrating.
Thank you for the clarification, though. That's helpful.
All right. Town manager updates.
Yes, town offices will be closed on Monday, the 2nd of September, in observance of Labor Day. Early voting is taking place now through Friday, August 30th for the September 3rd primary election. The 2024 Town of Mashpee COVID flu clinics will be held at Christ the King Parish Hall at Job's Fishing on the following dates: Thursday, September 19th, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and Thursday, October 3rd, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. As has already been, I don't know what that is flying around. It's on you now. As was mentioned at the public comments, the International Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st is the day to remember those we've lost due to overdose, and to acknowledge the grief of the family and friends left behind, and to renew our commitment to end overdose and related harms to the best of our abilities. The town boat ramp at 388 Mashpee Neck Road will be closed for construction starting Monday, September 16th, and will continue through Friday, November 15th. The work is proposed for fall because of temperature and time of year restrictions. We're not trying to inconvenience any boaters. There will be no access to the ramp and the immediate area during the construction. Boaters are directed to use Aquay Bay boat ramp or the Great River boat ramp instead. We understand that this is an inconvenience, but the timeline, we could not shorten it any further. And last but not least, the Administrative Assistant, Terry Cook, is retiring September 16th. That's my report.
Thank you.
Chief, is there any opportunity of getting an extension for the?
We've already looked at that on the boat ramp.
Yes.
We already looked at that.
Not a chance? No flexibility at all?
Yeah, we
It's
can't.
all the time of year and temperatures that play into it. Time of year restrictions for fish or shellfish or whatever. So that's by law, we can't move that.
How about the funding? Can we lock that in?
The funding is locked in.
It is locked in. The money is locked in.
Okay. Executive session, discussion of strategy relative to negotiations with non-union personnel.
I move that the board convene an executive session pursuant to General Law C-30A, Section 21A2, to discuss strategy relative to negotiations with non-union personnel, Town Manager Rodney C. Collins, Assistant Manager Wayne E. Taylor, and Police Chief Scott W. Carline, with the chair having declared that an open meeting regarding this topic may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town. The Select Board will not reconvene in open session. Give me a second.
Second.
Tom?
Yes.
Yes.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.